So I want to talk about this next segment, but I do want to give you guys an update. So last night we had Marjorie Taylor Greene on the show. She was absolutely fantastic. And one of the things that came up was Dan Crenshaw being listed by the World Economic Forum's young global leaders thing.
Yeah, with Pete Buttigieg and Tulsi Gabbard.
Buttigieg was a different year. So I actually reached out to Dan Crenshaw, and I'll give you the gist of his statement, paraphrase. Basically, his understanding, or I should say my takeaway from what he said, is that this is an editorial list that they have nothing to do with. It's like, so I asked him, is this like Forbes 30 under 30? Like the World Economic Forum just decides these are people we think you should watch? And he was like, yes, there was no communication involved. They just put me on some list. And now he's like, people see that and they think I'm associated in some way. I think it's important that, people hear his response, because we did pull that up. And I even said, I don't know what this young global leaders thing is. Right. And if it turns out that the Davos group just like makes a list of people they're interested in, whether you realize it or not, I don't want to smear the guy over something someone else does.
And I agree with you, but why would they pick him?
Right?
Yeah, and they're not gonna pick Trump. You know what I mean? I mean, they're not gonna pick Marjorie Greene. They're not gonna pick certain people. So why did they pick you? And I'm telling you what, man, my wife cannot stand him. And she just think that he is a part of the establishment. I remember, and I can't verify that unequivocally. I remember when he first came out, and I said, yeah, I like this dude. Military guy, he's bad to the bone, missing an eye. This is the dude. And then he started, it's like they get in office and they start getting softer and softer and softer. And before you know it, they're acquiescing in this way. They're trying to be cool with these people, and they're in the middle. Right. They're not like Marjorie Greene. Like, I'm not expecting everybody to be radical, but I'm expecting you to go in there and tear stuff up. I'm expecting you to go in there and stand your ground and stand on the principles that people are asking you to stand on. You got elected because you had these campaign videos of you being an outsider coming in and serving your community, and because you were in in the military. But then you get in there and you just shrink down and you just like everybody else. And it's easy for me to talk because I'm not in politics, but like, is that what happens to you when you get into politics?
The ones that want to get
reelected. Not Marjorie
reelected.
Taylor Greene.
Yeah, she's not as
but how long?
That was amazing.
And I love her. I met her before she ever was in politics, and I remember we were at some conference, and she was like, "I'm gonna run for office." And I remember, she was such a cool person in the fitness, but like, how long is she gonna last?
I'll tell you.
She does shows like this for a long time.
I'll tell you.
I hope so. I hope she.
The big thing for me was
it's all about the media.
She said kooky things on Facebook back in the day. She apologized for those things. I don't know if I agree with her on all of her policy positions, but when she said she went down to Congress and forced roll call votes to make all the members actually come down and have to vote on these bills, I was just like, that deserves a standing ovation.
Absolutely.
Making these people do their jobs. And I got messages from people where they were like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, I'll vote for her. Because like all of her policy positions aside, if she's going there and telling all these members of Congress, get down here, vote, and do your jobs, I'll take it.
And show the constituents what you're voting for, because otherwise that would be hidden from them. So holding them account to the point where even Republicans are mad at her and Democrats are mad at her because they can't just pass through all these bills really fast. I think that's great. I think the more we have the stagnation in government, the better government we have. That's my own personal perspective. That's how I see it, because when they're arguing and fighting amongst each other, they're not trying to put government on someone else. And they've been putting a lot of government on a lot of people, and she's stopping it somewhat.
But I think she's a great example for all Americans, that if you feel the call to serve, you don't have to be some politician. You don't have to have some legacy of a political background.
And that's true for AOC as well.
I want to do this because I feel like I want to make a difference. And if you pursue it, because I remember her saying she was going to do it before she ever did it, and she pursued it and she won. And I think you're correct about AOC, even though I think she's dumber than a bag of rocks.
Well, that's not fair. I don't want to say. Let me say that's not fair to the bag of rocks.
Let me not disrespect rocks like that.
Ian's angered right now. You triggered anger. He has a lot of rocks in front of him.
Ancient rocks. I'm not going to disrespect them like that. So let me not be superfluous. I think that her arguments are poor. I think that she believes what she's saying, though, and that's why she's been so successful. I honestly believe that her
AOC.
Yeah, AOC.
I disagree, man.
You don't think she? I think she's dumb enough to believe this stuff.
Every time they come out and they say like, "Hey, AOC, I'm criticizing you for this thing you did," she goes, "You just want to date me."
I think she's dumb enough to believe it. She think people want to sleep with her.
You know what I posted? Look. I don't like. we make fun of her for being dumb and all that stuff. I'm actually not a fan of doing that. I don't like her. I do think she is lacking in ability. I think she's a master of marketing. She's a master of media manipulation. But I don't know. I want to make sure that when we present criticisms, it's substantive. You know what I mean?
And I agree.
It feels kind of greasy.
Yeah, sometimes sometimes I go over the top and I may say certain words because that's how I really feel. But in actuality, you have to say, look at the critique of what she's doing. She literally came on television and bashed people for not wearing masks. She bashed them. She's been bashing DeSantis. And she's literally in his state, drinking and having a good time, hugging people, kissing and partying. That's only what we saw on camera. She was probably living her best life. But she get on TV and she make these claims. She talks about climate change. Oh, we're going to all die in 13 years or something. It's irreversible. But I guarantee you she got on a plane, and flew to Miami, rented a car probably, and is driving around living her best life. These people, they're either dumb or they're evil. That's right. One of the two. And
I think it's evil, dude.
It could be both.
Look,
and I'm not trying to be superfluous in my description of her. I just really do think that these people are evil or they are completely out of their mind.
Definitely ignorant. Because if they think climate change is not going to be stopped, they're ignorant. Because it can be. We can withdraw the carbon from the atmosphere.
It's got to be evil. And I'll tell you why. Didn't Obama buy beachfront property?
Yeah, of course he did. The banks are giving them loans 24 hours a day.
So did Bill Gates.
So these people that come out and claim all this stuff, climate change and whatever, they do the opposite. When I see Marjorie Taylor Greene refusing to wear a mask, and she's got, I think she was saying like, $90,000 in fines or something accrued from all the stupid BS. She's going down to the house and Nancy Pelosi's like, everybody got to wear a mask, and she's not going to do it. That's consistent with what she said. She's doing what she says.
Right.
When AOC says Texas is, effectively going to killing people by ending the mask mandates, and then she chooses not to wear a mask in Florida, but criticizes DeSantis, you can see how she really feels. When no one tells her she has to, she won't. So it's not about wearing the masks. It's about the government mandating people do it.
Yeah, so it's like, well, I think it's evil too, because it's like, the position and the facts, but you present something different to the people because you want to toe the line, because you want to get reelected. Why would you do people like that when you don't practice what you preach?
Let's put it this way. No matter which direction you go, it's evil. Here's why. If she thinks masks really will save lives and that you have to have them, then she goes to parties without one, thinking she'll be killing people by doing that.
That's kind of evil.
That sounds evil.
Yeah.
Willfully putting people at risk, at least based on that belief that masks are important. Or she's claiming masks are important and doesn't actually believe it and is just lying to toe some tribal line. Also evil.
Dude, it's a career move, right? Huh. These people, this is what I'm learning about politics. These people want to stay in office as long as they can, because when you're in office, it's not just your little salary you get. Your little $170,000 you get in the House of Representatives every 2 years or whatever. You get.
They got a $1.4 million budget,
right?
Per year, I think it is.
But you know how many butts they kissing and how many people they doing deals with behind the scenes. You stay in there long enough, you're gonna be set for the rest of your life. And I often wonder, is this what they're really doing it for? Is she doing this to secure the bag for the rest of her life, pointing out lies that she know aren't true, but she have to push those to get reelected because she really don't care. I mean, she don't care about other people. It didn't appear that she does. I don't know.
You get this crazy data, like this CNN analyst saying that masks are calling them facial decorations on TV. Like this is Leanna Wen said this 2 weeks ago. Like, so how confusing on CNN. So how confusing for someone to be like, you're supposed to wear a mask, but then the CNN guidance comes out, or the analyst, and says they don't function properly.
This is the issue. What? It's almost like people bring up Yuri Bezmenov all the time. Just confuse and demoralize the population. Keep them in a constant state of chaos so they can't figure out what's going on and what they're supposed to do.
Yep. And the politicians are also in that state.
So we'll go back to how she ended up being brought up. We were talking about, first it was Dan Crenshaw. He's arguing with Marjorie Taylor Greene. We had MTG on, and I think the member segment we did with her, it was getting legit, and I'm like, man, I really want to have like a longer form off YouTube so we can just go deep dive on a bunch of topics. Because when we do the YouTube show, it's very topical. It's very direct topical. We mostly talked about her and censorship and Congress and what was going on in Congress, and then we started getting to the nitty gritty of just like the things she's talked about in the past, how she feels about vaccine mandates. And it was raw and it was real. And then I was just like, man, she was swearing. And I'm like, it did not feel like the other politicians we've had on the show who are worried about offending one side or the other and trying to get votes. It felt like she was just like, I'm here and I'm going to tell you what I think. And I was like, man, that's what people like about Trump.
Yes.
That's what people like about MTG. You know, we're so sick of the inauthentic, fake BS in politics. We will take something that seems genuine. And unfortunately for the populist left, the people they brought on, they're all disingenuous.
Well, let's be honest. AOC talks a big game. But when Pelosi says step in line, she steps in line and votes like Pelosi wants her to vote. But she also mastered social media. And she also mastered the way of engaging with people and exploiting that to its fullest extent. And there are algorithms that, of course, are pushing her messaging out to millions and millions of people in an unrestricted way, which, of course, is something that the other side does not have. So when you have direct lines through the algorithm to the youth, you're able to influence them, especially when you set up a gaming channel. I mean, this person, I don't think she's dumb. I think she's very smart. I think she's very, very calculated. It might have been a mistake that she got caught without, wearing a mask in Florida. Ron DeSantis said that this is, quote, a ruling class mentality, and I think that has more kind of perspective to it. But look what she did with January 6th. Look how she involved herself in that event.
She lied.
When she lied about being at the Capitol.
No. So, I when this story came out, AOC claimed that she thought the rioters had made it to her office. She made that up. The timeline made no sense. I saw Ben Shapiro tweeting it, and I tweeted, I'm like, yo, it's not that she's, making up the fear. It's that the whole story's fabricated. I couldn't believe how many people on the right didn't catch this. When the cop knocks on her door and AOC is like, so then I'm like, I hide in the bathroom and I'm thinking like they found me or whatever. And then I hear, where is she? And it's the most exaggerated insanity ever. And then she's thinking she was going to die or whatever she said. When I saw that story, I was like, wait, I actually argued with the Huffington Post guy through direct messages because I said, when she came out in the hallway, there were already a bunch of people there being evacuated. So where was she? She wasn't in the Capitol. She was in her building. Then people said, yeah, but the Capitol does connect through tunnels to that building. And then I was like, why? When did the rioters make it through the tunnels? They didn't. Did they think they were going to? Why did they think that? And then I actually went through the timeline of when she said it was this time. It was like 1 o'clock when she was getting her food and she had a knock on the door. And I went, at 1 o'clock, not a single rioter had even made it to the building yet. It was they had just breached the first barricade. No one knew what had happened, and the police. It was that famous video where the cops fanning people in. It wasn't until I think an hour later that the rioters actually breached the building. Do you think she was later?
Do you think she was being honest but had her timeline wrong?
No,
that makes no sense. How was she being honest? So that would mean that if she was being honest, she was in her office. The cop knocked on her door, and then she had a psychic premonition of people raiding the Capitol. Went, they're going to raid the Capitol, and they might be here now.
Right. She was
it's all bullcrap.
No one knew that was going to happen. She lied, made the whole thing up.
And I've been to the Capitol building. I've been to the halls of Congress. It's difficult to figure that building out. To go through the tunnel is very difficult. Of course, we had to get escorted, and they showed us how to get down there. And if you were down there for the first time, you don't know where it goes. You don't know where to go, where door to go out to. It's a big hallway in the middle where they got trains and stuff going through there. And so it's like, come on, man. I mean, she is a liar. It's the same thing. The left does this well. And the reason why is age, youth. She is in the era of social media. Mm-hmm. The Republicans don't have a lot of young people involved, and therefore they are not capturing the social media, frenzy, and they're not getting the reach that AOC is getting. If you notice, it's the older people that don't even use Facebook. I mean, some of the Republicans probably don't even know how to use social media at this point. They're not good at it. That's why I'm a Republican. That's why we should get younger people involved, like Marjorie. I think it's Marjorie
Taylor Greene.
Marjorie. I keep saying her name.
She's not younger.
That's just what her husband.
I don't want to call her old. But, she's a mom.
She's
about my age.
Younger.
40,
Yeah.
46,
she's younger.
47.
Right.
47.
She's younger in the 30-40 range. She's not 60, 50, 60.
And she's healthy.
70.
So she's like got a young mind.
I hear what you're saying, but it is kind of scary that they're
She's
so
the young
old that she's the young one.
Right. I mean, she gonna beat you up next time she sees you.
No, look.
I'll just mess with you.
No, we got to be real. Like, I was like, I don't want to call her old or anything like that because she's only 47. But that it's kind of crazy that we need millennials
because we don't have term limits. We need term limits because otherwise they're going to go these 80-year-olds.
It's not cool though. Politics are not cool.
You can run for office when you're 75 for the first time.
I feel like Trump made it a little more cool, a little more dynamic. You don't have to be a politician to be in office. So, but it's not sexy to be a politician. Nah. But people need to make it that way. And I feel like AOC for the left, she made it cool.
The Kennedy assassination made it not cool for me. Like, I can't get in there and speak my mind because I'm afraid that they're all watching me and they know where I sleep. Like, I'm not comfortable with that. If a president gets in there and they really want to change the system, they're going to need to duck out of the country for a while because the CIA is not going to like it. This system is like in place for a reason.
Yeah, it's scary.
And I don't know if politics can twist it open. I don't.
But when you're young, I mean, most people that probably should be in politics don't desire to be in politics.
Right.
And the people that do desire to be in politics are people probably who are power hungry and narcissistic, and that's how they end up getting in.
The paradox,
and they get power and then they love it.
Sociopaths.
Yeah, and so it's unfortunate, but like, I don't know how to fix it. But younger people need to feel more confident that look, this is our country. Yeah, and we need to take it over through being in politics.
It's like it needs a bunch of things have to happen at once. We need young, new, intelligent politicians. We need new pieces of technology and new shows that are being developed that are like invigorating the entire process. But it has to happen all at once. It can't be one or the other.
Right.
I'm just not the person that can get into politics because of my mind state. It'd be too dangerous for me.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about. So you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.